What is going on? Back with another video. Today we're going to be doing the valve covers, as the title says. Just pretty much gonna get straight into it. This is gonna suck, by the way. So all you're looking to disconnect is you have to take out the spark plug boots. You have to disconnect the high pressure fuel pumps on both sides, and then you have to get all the valve cover screws out. The driver's side is always the hardest side with anything. The passenger side should be easy enough, but I'm gonna probably have to take this strut bar off. I may not. Yeah, I probably should, but we're just gonna get straight into it. First, removing the spark plugs. I'm not gonna really show removing the spark plugs. If you need to know how to do it, just watch my last video or the video before that on how to do the spark plugs, and then we'll just go from there. Alright, I also meant to say, also disconnect the battery, because you do have to remove, like I said, the high pressure fuel pumps, and you don't want to accidentally get any power to it. But in case you don't want to watch that last video, just to run over it, you have to take out this 10 mil right here on the wire harness, this 10 mil right here, all the 10s on the spark plugs. What I use to get them out is just a quarter with an extension. It's a 10 mil, the long extension and a short extension. And then also be careful, if your spark plugs are old, it will be hard to get this boot out without it breaking sometimes, because on older spark plugs, when you're pulling it out, the boot will stay on the spark plug itself. Like this boot, it will be broke on top of the spark plug. I also recommend keeping the spark plugs in order, how you just took them out. Don't change the order. Not the spark plugs, but the coil packs, you know what I mean? Don't change the order of how you remove them. Keep them back in the same cylinder that you took them out from. Try to yank this shit out. So it's really not a whole lot that you would really have to disconnect. The hardest part is trying to maneuver this out of the way it's sitting in there. So you're gonna want to disconnect this purge valve from the fuel. You want to disconnect this sensor from the high pressure fuel pump. You want to disconnect this evap hose from your intake. You're gonna disconnect this sensor. If you can see it, hold on. It's a sensor back there. You see it with those two 10s. You don't have to take the sensor housing out. You just have to disconnect the sensor itself. So like that. And then it's also gonna be a sensor down here at the bottom. You see it with the yellow on there. You don't have to, again, you don't have to disconnect the 10 mils. You just have to unclip the sensor and get it out that way. You're also gonna have a bracket right here that should be holding your fuel line down, unlike mine. You're gonna have to disconnect that too. It's just giving it more slack in the line for you to be able to pull it out. Save the high pressure fuel pump for the last thing that you disconnect. I want to disconnect what I just told you. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take off all the 10 mils around the cover, and I'm gonna do the fuel pump last. You don't have to disconnect the fuel lines on the fuel pump. All you have to do is take out these bolts right here, and then it will give you enough slack to bend it out the way and to remove it. I'm gonna get that done and I'll be back. Alright, so Fucking 40 minutes later, we have all of the bolts out. You're gonna be looking at 20 bolts in total, if I count it right. Just making sure I got all of them. And then that is including these 2 bolts right here next to the high pressure fuel pump. And then the 2 bolts that are actually on the high pressure fuel pump. These bottom 3-4 bolts down here are gonna be your worst bolts. They're such a pain. I'm just making sure I got them all out. They're such a pain to get out. The only tools that I'm using to get this job done, there go all your bolts. And don't forget these two bolts that are in the actual cover itself. One sits right here in that hole, right there, in that hole right there. It's these 2 sit in the actual like valve cover itself. So if you don't remove these, I mean, you can't get them. They're black, so you might miss them, but you gotta take those out. The only tools that I'm using, and I'll put it like in the beginning of the video, is a 3-inch and a 2-inch extension, a 10 mil, a 1/4 inch ratchet, a 1/4 inch swivel socket, and a magnet pickup tool. That's all I'm using. You may think on these bottom ones that you can't get them out, but literally that's all I use to get them out. They suck. 100% they suck to get out, but you can do it. And then now all I have to do is get this high pressure fuel pump popped up, bend it out of the way, and then try to get the cover off. I'll show you the fuel pump once I bend it out of the way. Like I said, just be careful with it. You don't really want to take it up any more than this right here, because these, I mean, you still are bending fuel lines at the end of the day. You can't just remove the fuel lines off of it because it has to lift up, and you can't make it past this nipple right here. So you're not, I mean, like I said, it bends a little bit, but you don't want to really take it higher than that. And to put it back, you just bend it down and start your bolts, and then it will go back down. But you don't want to really mess with it more than that. So that should be it, unless I forgot a screw. I will come back and say something, but I'm gonna show you how to pop it off because it's gonna be on there pretty good. All I'm gonna use is a pry bar and maybe a mallet. You may just be able to get it with a flathead or a pry bar, but I'll see. Alright, so like I said, simple pry tool. You could probably even use a trim removal tool if you don't have a pry bar. So you're just gonna get on the corner, and then you see how you hear it just crack open. You're just gonna crack it open like that. And you could also use a mallet. I use this mallet right here. So when I stick the pry tool in there like that, just tap it on the back, and it will crack it. I can't really show y'all too much because I don't have my head mount for this GoPro. But now we're just gonna maneuver this out of this hole somehow. I'll let y'all know what I end up doing, but it shouldn't be too bad, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so here is what all you gotta remove. I know I said a lot of less things earlier, but like I said, it's my first time doing it, so luckily I'm doing it so you don't have to struggle with it. But so you're gonna want to remove the computer, not the whole thing, but just the harness part. So you got the ECU, no, it's the ECU, TCU, and then you have the fuel module or like body control module right here. And then up front, I'm not even gonna act like I know what these sensors go to. I think one is gonna be a cam position sensor, and one would be a VVT solenoid sensor. You're gonna remove those two. Where are they? These two from the front of the motor. Then this one is gonna be at the bottom. It's gonna be connected to your AC compressor. You're gonna want to remove that. And then this one should be up top right here, connected to that sensor right there. You only have to remove those so you can flip this harness over, because it's hard to maneuver that out without flipping the harness over to give you more room to pull it out. Also, I removed this sensor off the back of the valve cover. Earlier I said I wasn't gonna remove it, but it ended up getting caught on a bunch of stuff, so I ended up removing it. That sensor would sit right there in that hole. I left that one out. I didn't need to remove it to get it out. But yeah. Also, while you're here though, you can inspect your valves, dual overhead. But this, this looks good. This is what clean. You do your oil changes, good valves. I just did a valve cover gasket yesterday, and it will, if it's bad, it will be like all orange and oil stain. This means that I'm doing good oil changes and keeping up with it good. But yeah, it's definitely a process, bro. Like, it's definitely a process to get that out. You may have to bend the fuel pump up a little bit more. Just be very, very gentle with being too aggressive and bending that up, because you don't want to end up putting a crease in the line or messing up the spring on the bottom of it. But now that all that's out the way, it is a job for sure. It's definitely a job. But now you're gonna get you a wire brush or a razor blade, and you're gonna clean off the mating surface right in here where the valve would sit, so you could get a clean mate when you put the new one on. I'm gonna start getting that cleaned up. I'll show you what I use and then get back to it. Alright, so like I said, just gonna clean it up good. I'm just gonna be using this little wire brush. You can get these from like Harbor Freight, AutoZone, whatever. Just getting leftover glue and stuff off of there. I put a little towel down right here. You see like that corrosion and stuff on the bottom of the high pressure fuel pump seal. I'm just saving it from falling in the valves. It wouldn't be too bad falling in the valves, because it's not like it's like hard or anything like that. It's just like basic little corrosion, like it'll burn off. You just don't want to get too much stuff falling in your valves. So whatever you can, like, aim to not get in there. Just try to cover it. I'm just gonna be using this wire brush. I don't really need a razor blade, because most of this is gonna come off with the brush. And I'm just gonna be using this towel, to simply just, just wipe it up after I brush it off. And then I'm gonna show you what it look like fully clean. Spend good time cleaning it. You don't want the leftover crust and stuff on here, because when you mate the new valve on there, it won't mate right because it's built up on the other stuff. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up, then I'm gonna show you. Alright, so when replacing the gasket on the valve cover, obviously, these spark plug boots are kind of gonna be a pain for you. This is what they come out to be, this hard plastic, because they've been in there so long. It's gonna be a pain to get out. What you want to do is get your pry bar, set it on something, set the cover on something soft. You're gonna want to get it in there good. Then you want to cover it with one hand and then push down on the pry bar with the other hand. Like I said, I can't mount this camera anywhere, so I'm gonna do this one and then I'm gonna show you. So you heard that loud click. Just be careful with it. But this is gonna be the seal coming out. Like I said, it turns into this hard plastic ring. It's a little bit of a pain. Just be gentle with it. Sit it on something soft and then pop them out. So then you get your new one here. Which way did I? You get your new one here. Then you're gonna sit it down in there. The like bigger circle, like the one that protrudes up, is gonna sit facing up. Then you're gonna get yourself a rubber mallet. Just be gentle. And then that is gonna be how you replace those. Alright, so new gasket in. This is the old gasket. You just gotta, basically, just push it down, line it up good. I'm also gonna take the time, since this is not on the car, I'm gonna clean it up. I'm just gonna be using engine cleaner, probably a little bit of brake cleaner. I'm just gonna knock off a lot of this oil that's on here. And then I'm gonna use like a little shine and give it like a little shine. So, I mean, if it is leaking again, if I did something wrong in the process, I'll be able to tell because it'll be clean and not have oil on it like it does now. But everything should be good with it. I'm just gonna clean it up and then we'll get to putting it back on the car. Alright, so I'm ready back to put everything back together. So I got this RTV ultra black gasket maker. I'm just gonna dab some of this on the corners of the corners of the corners, just so when I'm setting it, it doesn't want to come back up, or the gasket doesn't want to move on the cover, just so we get like a good seal. This is not required. I'm just doing this just because, so I don't ever have to go back and ever do this shit again. Like I said, I'm not putting a lot. Like you see, like the gasket will sit right here. I'm just dabbing a little bit. That's probably more than I want to do. I'm trying to do this with one hand, but I'm just dabbing a little bit on the corners, and then I'm gonna try to get the manifold, the cover, and sit it back. When you sitting it back, make sure the gasket stays down or you will be, fucked up. Then I'm gonna try to get the cover set back on here, then I'll cut to how I'm gonna put the screws back. Alright, so at this point I have every screw back in there. None of them are all the way down, they're just set in there and they're gonna be hand tight. The only ones that I recommend doing all the way down when you first sit it back is the 2 bolts on the high pressure fuel pump. You see, like mine is already sat back down there good. You just want to go ahead and get tension off those lines and get that bend off of it that you put the stress on. You want to go ahead and sit that down. First thing you would do. You see all of them, like the cover is still pretty much loose, kind of. The other tightest bolts I'll recommend after you get a few of those set is these 2 guide bolts that's in the cover that goes into the block itself. I'll recommend go ahead and tightening those, not all the way down, but good enough. And then you're gonna hand tight you're gonna get every bolt started in the hole. So there should be a specific pattern for this. I don't know it. I'm just doing like how you do every other valve cover. You do one corner, then you go to the other corner, then you would do one corner and then go to the other corner, and then you would do opposite side all the way through. With those bottom bolts, like I said, you're gonna need you a magnetic pickup tool To sit those down in there, you just stick the tip of the bolt on there, then guide it down in the hole. Then you have to like finger it hand tight. So I'm gonna start on this corner, then I'm gonna go to that corner, then I'm gonna go to this corner, that corner, then boom, 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 boom. And then I'm gonna do the bolts on the fuel pump. Just make sure you're not cross stirring it. Like make sure it goes in there pretty simple, like you're not having to put too much force on it, or you probably want to stop putting that one in. But yeah, I'm gonna run through these bolts and I'll be back when all of them are down. Oh yeah, also the torque spec for the bolt should be around 8 or 10 foot-pounds. I'm not using a torque wrench on these. Like I would hate to try to get that in on those bottom screws and on some back there. I'm just gonna be doing them good hand tight. That's all you need. You don't really need to do it like to a spec technically, but if you want to do it, it'll be 8 to 10 foot-pounds. All right, so we have every bolt in there tight and they're good. We dropped all the spark plugs back in there. Now we're gonna be reconnecting the harness. Make sure you do not forget anything on this harness, bro. We're gonna finish the driver's side completely, ECU back in and all that, and then we're gonna go into the passenger side. Like I said, just make sure you don't forget anything. Alright, so driver's side completely tightened. Every bolt is tight. Gasket should be good, no creases or bends in it. Spark plugs already in there. Each one of those are tight. And now we're going to be reconnecting the harness. We're going to completely finish this driver's side before we go on to the passenger side. You don't want to leave anything that like you'll say you'll come back to in case you forget to come back to that. Also, a tip on the high pressure fuel pump: the 10, the screws that say 10 on top, that's just like the gauge and the strength of the screw. The ones that say 10 go into the metal part of the pump, and the ones that say 8 go into the plastic cover. Make sure you also remember to put that sensor back down there, right there. If you removed it like I did, make sure you put that back. And now we're gonna reconnect everything. I'm gonna reconnect it and I'm gonna go back over what we reconnected to make sure everything is right. Because you don't want to start it and fucking you left some spark plugs loose or left the sensor, throw a code, all that bullshit. So we're just gonna reconnect it and then we should be good on the driver's side. I remember this one dude made a YouTube video about like how you have to connect all this right or it'll blow like all your fuses or whatever. But bro, I have no idea how you would connect this the wrong way. Before I seen that video, I really thought it was like one way fits it, like there's no other way to do it. But in case, I mean, you somehow make that dumb mistake like him, this is gonna go to the TCU, the one in the very back. This one goes before to the transmission. This one goes right behind that one. This goes to that, obviously. This goes to the one mounted right there, obviously. And then you have your ground in that hole. And you have your 2 brackets right there. So I'm gonna run over everything real fast. Make sure you put it back. So you got, like I don't remember what these 2 sensors are up here. I want to say one is a VVT solenoid and one would be a camshaft position sensor. So you got those 2 sensors in the front. You got this sensor that's right there. Right there. You got your AC compressor sensor that drop down goes into there. You have your purge valve sensor up here, goes right there. What else? You have this back sensor, this back sensor. See, I missed something. Like I said, I'm just gonna run through it, make sure everybody good. You got your high pressure fuel pump sensor that I forgot to put in. You have all your spark plug sensors. And that literally should be it for the driver's side. You got your evap hose too. Put that back right there. I'm gonna wait to reconnect all these ECU and TCU stuff when I get done with the passenger side. But I'm gonna move on to the passenger side. This one should be a lot shorter, a lot easier for you guys, because it's not as tight as the driver's side was. So pretty much, yeah, just gonna jump right into the passenger side. So you have to disconnect the harness from the manifold like always. Disconnect the spark plugs, get the boots out, and then yeah, disconnect the bracket. I'll show you. I'm just looking at it, but disconnect those brackets. You're gonna have two sensors on the back of this valve cover too. Disconnect those two sensors. We're gonna disconnect the VVT and the camshaft position sensor up here. We're gonna disconnect that sensor too, just to get it off of the valve cover so we can fold it over. And then I'm gonna get with you guys. But like I said, this side will be a lot fucking easier than this side. This side took forever. Like, I think I was doing it for about an hour and a half maybe. Pain in the ass. This side, I'm finna rush through it so I could go eat some food. I'm tired of doing this shit. But let's get started. Let's get it over with. Alright. Running through this side. Like I said, front clips off, harness loose. I did disconnect the ground right here from the like the ground from the harness from the power supply right here. And then lift up the fuel pump again. Be careful with it. You're gonna pop off this evap cable too, evap hose. So the bottom of this harness is connected to the alternator. I'm gonna try, oh shit, I forgot a screw. I'm gonna try not to disconnect it from the alternator. I feel like I should be able to get it up out of there without doing that. And then I'm gonna pop it off and I'm gonna get to cleaning, and let's go. Alright, got this side off way quicker, way easier. Yeah, I didn't disconnect the alternator. I got it off from around it without disconnecting it. So I just roughly cleaned up the gasket maintenance surface. Clean up the fuel pump surface. I'm mad that my kit, the kit that I have, doesn't come with a new gasket for the high pressure fuel pump circle. I feel like it should, but mine doesn't come with one. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna pop these boots out, clean up all this shit, and then just throw it back on. Alright, so everything is put back the way it was took off. Everything should be good. Got the computers back right. Intake back on. The ground to the power back on. All these evap hoses and fuses put back. Spark plugs put back. So now we're just gonna give it a start. Alright, as you see, if you can hear me, the job is done. It started snowing. No leaks, no anything. If you cleaned off the valve covers, you may see a little smoke, but it should clear off after a while. We're looking good. Also, I'm gonna put it in the beginning of the video. You may get a code for a high pressure fuel pump rail, and if you clear it, it shouldn't come back. You just have to have a scanner to clear the code, and then it won't come back.